Video games are a bit like sports in that they're full of rules and long-standing traditions, and also in that they're... no, I guess that really is the only similarity. But many of these rules and conventions are so ingrained in the collective consciousness of those of us who play games that we've forgotten to check whether they're really weird. And turns out there are more than a few things that gamers take completely for granted, but that would make absolutely no sense to someone not familiar with the hobby. Here are the weird things that only make sense in games.
Whoa! A witcher! A serious client at last. Tell me, what do you need? Honeysuckle? Ganesha petals?
Show me what you've got in stock.
Odds are, if you search your pockets, you'll find some junk in there. Let's see. Old tissue, old train ticket, loose M&M? No, something else. But we dare say if you lived in a world where people would pay you real money for useless rubbish, your pockets would be a lot cleaner. That would be very weird though, right?
If you need anything else, you know where to find me.
Well, not in video games apparently, where it's perfectly normal to approach a place of business and rather than buying anything, get them to give you money for the junk you're carrying, which could be anything from old pots and pans to chunks of mouldy food or squelchy animal parts. Why would Ulfberth Warbear, who runs a weapons and armor shop, be content to buy your stinking animal bits and let you leave without so much as browsing his stock? Well, it's probably something to do with the fact that games like to make you balance a number of different resources, like items and money, in order to survive. You know, like you do in real life. Remember? That thing you constantly worry about? It's in all your games! However, unlike real life, games have the good grace not to force you to open an animal parts shop when you want to swap some skeever tails for money. The compromise is that shopkeepers in games make the highly illogical decision to buy literally anything from you. Unless, that is, you're playing Undertale, which delights in subverting gaming's most nonsensical conventions, as players found if they tried to flog their old junk to one of the game's merchants. Laugh it up, you dumb rabbit, you're barred from my Skeevertail shop, Skeeve and Save. Actually, I take it back, we really need customers, please, I owe some bad people a lot of money.
Physical objects have properties like mass or density which relate to their weight, or volume which relates to how loud they are, I think. I have a hard time remembering physics stuff. But apparently nobody bothered to inform games of these universal physical laws, because since time immemorial, games have let you carry a frankly impossible number of objects around with you. Not only that, but long-standing tradition dictates that players can almost always swap between the objects in that endless inventory instantaneously, regardless of their size or weight. Which is always huge, because let's face it, these objects are usually massive guns. Come on, Gordon Freeman, you're a physicist. You should be more scientifically curious about how exactly you're doing this. Perhaps apply the principle of Occam's razor, which, according to the science podcasts I listen to, states that 4 razors plus handle and shave butter can be sent right to your door every month for just $5. $4 if you use the promo code SCIENCE. The fact that you may well have played Grand Theft Auto 5 for hundreds of hours without once thinking how weird it is that Michael routinely yanks a rocket launcher out of the ether and returns it to the Netherverse a moment later is proof of just how ingrained the invisible inventory really is in gaming. And yet the tradition of infinite weightless inventory is kept up by almost every game. Why? Well, probably because game makers would prefer you to have a large number of tools with which to affect your environment. Or at least would prefer that to a lengthy scene where Michael is hospitalized because his spine collapsed under the weight of running while carrying several automatic weapons and a minigun. That's the simplest explanation anyway, and the simplest explanation is usually the right one.
That's Occam's razor, you idiot.
Wait, you subscribe to Occam's razor too? Dude, you should have said I have referral codes.
Ugh.
To be stealthy, you need 2 things. To not be seen, and to not be heard. Oh wait, 3 things. I forgot the turtleneck. In games, both of the first 2 requirements are covered off by a single maneuver, the crouch walk. Admittedly, dropping into a squat makes you less likely to be seen because there's less of you, helping you hide behind low cover. But when it comes to being heard, I put it to you that slow crouch walking isn't quieter than careful, slow, upright walking. Don't believe me? Try crouch walking right now, see how stealthy you feel. Oh God. Fair enough, spending literally hours squat hobbling up to the backs of unsuspecting guards must be an incredible workout for your quads. But in real life, crouch walking wouldn't make you any quieter. In fact, scuttling around like that is surely going to be louder, what with the high risk of losing your balance and stacking it into a pile of cans moments before your stealthy takedown. At least in games, we know that our heroes could walk like this forever, with their footsteps as light as a feather, and their quads as hard as steel. Walls serve many purposes. They trap in heat, preserve your privacy, and stop sound travelling in from other rooms, unless Outside Xbox are filming Show of the Week in there. Welcome to Show of the Week, I'm Mike! Keep it down in there, you kids! So if there was a wall that you could see through, you might reasonably think, wow, that sounds like a real crappy wall or a window or something. But turning walls into transparent panels to see what's on the other side is a huge part of modern video games, despite, making absolutely no sense. Reason being, lots of games hinge on being able to move through your environment without being spotted by roving enemies. In the olden days, stealth games would let you manage this with an overhead camera, but that's considered old-fashioned now, so the obvious solution is a single button that, when held, turns your surroundings into clear perspex blocks. Except for humans and sometimes weapons, which glow. How? Well, it's simple. It's the sort of Occam's razor. Okay, there's basically no reason, although some games twist themselves in knots trying to explain this widespread mechanic. You could say that, like with Batman, it's done through advanced technology, or like in Assassin's Creed, it's a skill dormant in humans as a result of interbreeding with the Isu, an ancient super-advanced race. Or in the case of Hitman, give absolutely no explanation, because they know you're not going to question it, so why bother? Maybe Agent 47 is a robot. It would explain the barcode, and the voice, and the ability to hang indefinitely from ledges. Hang on, there's something in this.
Usually when you're sick or injured, it's recommended that you seek advice from a medical professional, or at least Google your symptoms. That's how I learned that I have bubonic plague! But as fans of video games will know, the whole process of booking an appointment, going in, being treated, healing up, and then possibly getting a prescription after all that can really slow gameplay down. Instead, games offer a quick fix in the form of health potions, med packs, or regenerating health, special magical game alternatives to visiting the ER. But game convention dictates there is another way of healing. One that is eerily similar to how I approach a buffet at a wedding. That is, eat literally everything in sight. What? If it was one slice of cake per person, then it should have said, "You snooze, you lose, the bride." Now, fair play, in the real world, food is directly linked to survival, insofar as if you don't eat it, you will die. But it's pretty weird that food has become a ubiquitous health-boosting item in games, seeing as eating IRL does nothing to heal wounds. Yet in games, random food items can mend anything from bullet wounds to near-fatal fall damage. This even extends to food found on dead bodies or in bins. Yeah, usually eating an entire roast chicken out of a bin is what will send you to hospital, not keep you out of one. New players could easily be forgiven for not assuming that eating 3 meals worth of food and drink at once will get you to full health. Bearing in mind it should render you unable to move due to your stomach being more stuffed than a taxidermy squirrel. But in video games we know it sets you right as rain, letting you carry on your adventures at full health. Weird, but what do we know? Maybe it really works. Who knows, maybe this swig of orange juice really will cure my mouth ulcers.
Get on, answer. Call the others. Tell them to come quick. Okay, but we can't wait for them. We gotta go in now. Bosses, we're coming in.
It's pain!
Princess Anna of Arundel once said, "Love is an open door," and if that's true, then games must hate us on account of all the doors that remain permanently shut. Veteran players of games, especially open-world games, will be well accustomed to this. Wandering round, you might be tempted to explore, and hey, maybe you want to nose around every farmhouse, henhouse, outhouse and doghouse you come across. But sadly, almost no open-world games let you do this, because most doors are purely decorative rather than actual functioning doors. Wander around a town and you'll soon discover, as Princess Anna also wisely sang, "All my life has been a series of doors in my face." Once you've experienced this in game after game, the concept of non-functioning doors will no longer faze you, and you develop an intuition for which doors can be interacted with. It's a sixth sense that video game fans have mastered, but this will obviously be baffling to anyone who first jumps into a game and wonders why the hinges on some doors, but not others, seem to have been superglued shut. Baffling, but as Princess Anna always says, do you want to build a snowman? Okay, it's not all going to be gold.
It seems there's no end to what games can simulate these days. Weather, driving a bus, sniping someone in the testicles. What a time to be alive. One thing that many games absolutely love to simulate is the passage of time, because it means you can spend literally 50% of your time in the game thinking, oh boy, I wish it was daytime because I can't see anything and everything looks cold and sad. But since games became obsessed with having internal calendars, players have needed ways to wind time forward, because if we wanted to do nothing but wait patiently, we'd pick a different hobby, like train spotting, fishing, or running a Half-Life 3 fan wiki. In the past, the way you advanced time might have made some sense, like in Harvest Moon, where you go to bed to skip forward to the next day. But nowadays, developers know they can put in a different time-forwarding mechanic, like, say, just literally stopping in one place, and trust that you won't think too hard about what exactly is happening here. We're so used to advancing time in games, it no longer seems like a stretch in logic, even though it means that, for instance, Geralt the Witcher has the patience to sit on the floor for days on end, but spends the rest of his time moving everywhere at a headlong sprint.
There was a time.
Probably rushing to find a toilet. I don't think he's been in 48 hours.
So those are some of the things in games that basically don't make any sense, but we've all been doing it so long that we've stopped questioning them. Weird. How did we just come to take these things for granted? I don't know. What does it say about you and about me? Big questions. Big questions, my friend. Can you think of any other things in games that only make sense in games? If so, let us know in the comments. And hey, if you liked this, then guess what? We do a weekly community show called Show of the Weekend. It is here, somewhere-ish. And it's really fun, and we talk about games, and I think you'll really like it if you like this list. And over on Outside Xbox, they do one as well. And it's called Show of the Week, and it's here. So check that out, because they are great. And subscribe as well. Bye.